Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the happy hours of coaching session. I hope all of you are doing great and you're taking care of your health. This is Ashutosh Bhattodekar, Enterprise Agile Coach, a trainer, and a consultant. Once again, back with a topic which I hope all of you will like, which I hope all of you will be excited to know about. And the topic is about agile scaling models, right? And we'll try to understand some of the very popularly used scaling models in the industry. But just a word of some disclaimer before I move ahead. I'm not going to prescribe any model. Okay, so at the end of this session, if you ask me, okay, which model I should be using, probably I may not be able to answer that question because the answer is contextual. There is no good model or a bad model. What we need to understand is we have these choices available. It is up to us to whether use this model or in fact whether you use model A or a model B into a particular situation, right? So that's where the role of an agile coach comes. So if you're looking for an algorithm that I will enter some information into that algorithm and then I will come to know the answer will be model A, model B, or model C, then you are at a wrong place. Okay, because as a coach, as an agile coach, you have to actually identify what are the challenges at your client location, what things are working, what things are not working, and then accordingly you might have to propose a particular model, right? So that is the intention of this session. Those of you are connected with me on LinkedIn already know me. I think I do see some of the people who have already attended my happy hours of coaching session in the past. So welcome back once again to all of you. And yeah, those of you are first time connecting with me, do connect with me on LinkedIn. Those of you are on LinkedIn Live can easily connect. You can, for others, you can just search my name Ashutosh Bhattodekar, and you should be able to connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have a YouTube channel. We have more than 100 plus videos now. So if you want to learn and grow, and if you want to really understand what agile coaching transformation is all about, do subscribe to my channel. I have pasted the link in the chat window here. And do subscribe to my channel. I'm sure there's some video which will help you in your journey as an Scrum Master or an Agile coach. So in today's session, I'll be talking about few of the important models which I have worked. Okay, there are many models in the industry, and especially the scaling models. There are many scaling models which are there, but I will be talking about some of the models where I have worked and what are the things I have observed around it. Yeah, I am also on Twitter. I'm also on on Gmail. I also write articles on this platform called DZone. So if you want to read some of my articles on enterprise agile, business agility, business value, business outcome, estimation, feel free to connect on DZone, and you will be able to read those articles which I have written. All right. So before I move into the scaling models, let me first give you a background, right? And let us first try to understand a few context around it. So can anyone tell me when was the Agile Manifesto or when did the Agile Manifesto came out, or the Manifesto for Agile Software Development? When did it come out? Anyone remembers the year when it came out? 2001. Perfect. Yes. 2001 is the year when Agile Manifesto came out. Absolutely right. And it's almost 21 years now, right? It's almost been 21 years now. And things have definitely evolved, right? 21 years back when the manifesto came, there was a kind of a problem statement which it was trying to address. Today, of course, I'm not saying that the problems have been eliminated. The problems dimensions have changed. Okay, so what was the situation 21 years back? The situation is vastly different from the world what we look around. So the first thing which I would like to talk about is how exactly has this agile way of working evolved over the years. And the picture what you're going to see, I have purposely not put in any years because as such it is very difficult to quantify or put in years in that picture. Okay, but what I'm trying to talk about here is how the manifesto, how the agile way of working has evolved over the years. Although the manifesto has stayed pretty much static, the agile way of working is something which has evolved over the years. So 2001, I'm trying to put it in waves. Okay, wave one, wave two, wave three. This is my interpretation. Again, open for a debate, open for a challenge on this. This is what I see how the agile journey has evolved over the years. So 2001, we started with smaller teams, right? We had this manifesto for agile software development, which came into existence. We had smaller teams. We had scrum masters who were coaching the team. And we actually started with, just like they say, right? Everything starts on a smaller note. So we started with smaller elements around it. That was what 2001 was, right? That I would call it as the team level agility, right? We are trying to bring about practices at a small team level. And we all know the size of team is in single digits. It is less than 10 members. The role of a project manager is practically becoming defunct in that agile world. We have a scrum master who's more like a coach or a mentor or a guide to the team. We have the product owner who represents the business. That is the story when it starts in 2001 with the 4 values and 12 principles of the Agile Manifesto. What started happening over the years was, and somewhere around 2007, 2008, was that, okay, fine, you're doing Agile at a team level. But how does it, what happened to that program portfolio, right? I mean, we all know those traditional concepts of project management, right? A project, then we have a program, then we have a portfolio on top of it. So what happens there, right? Is agility something which only can be done at a team level, or can I apply agile practices even at a program level, even at a portfolio level? So that's where the entire discussion started veering around, or that's where the industry started thinking about in those terms. That can we actually, I mean, that those days they didn't use this word, but can we actually roll up? They use the word roll up. I remember some of the conversations which I used to have with my leadership around that time when I was playing the role of a scrum master in a couple of engagements. Can we actually roll up agility at a program level or a portfolio level? And then to be very honest, I was clueless. Okay, so what I used to tell them, no, let us try it only scrum, and then let us see how the scrum teams operate with each other, right? And let's try to identify dependencies, etc. But you know what? The journey had already begun around that time. And that's when we had rolling up the agile practices at a program level, at a portfolio level. We, at least in Scrum, we had this Scrum of Scrum or SOS, what started coming up, right? DevOps was also something which was the talk of the town. Although DevOps, I won't really call it as a scaling practice, but it definitely contributed to scaling, right? How do I make sure that the development and the operations team is one single team rather than the team being at loggerheads with each other? They are that one single team which comes in. And then we also started seeing that a few of the teams started applying Kanban and lean practices, right? So you might have 2 teams in a program. One team is following Scrum, a pure vanilla Scrum, and the other team decided to experiment with Kanban because they felt that Kanban is a better approach or a better way of working for them. Okay, so that was around 2008, 2010-ish, 2011-ish when this started happening. Okay, then came a very interesting wave, the biggest of all the waves, as you can see, the third wave, where they said that, okay, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you have done agile at a team level, you have done agile at a program level, portfolio level, but what happens to my overall ecosystem or a business around it, right? How can I make my business more agile? Can I bring agility in government? Okay, and believe me, it has worked in a country like India also, where they have been able to bring about agile practices even in a government sector, right? The Passport E-Seva Kendra is the best example of that. What you can think of, right? The way the passport, the entire way of we getting passports in India has been revolutionized. That is nothing but agility at a government level, right? And the discussion started happening around it. That can I make my HR more agile? Can I make my finance team more agile? What about my operations team? What about my manufacturing team? How can I apply agile practices at that level, right? And which is where this words like business agility, digital transformation, I think you would have heard these words started coming up, right? And then how do I roll up? Again, I'm using the word roll up because that was literally the lingo they were using in those days. Even before they started very consciously using the word scaling. Scaling as a word came around 2013, 2014, I would say. But the word which I heard was roll up, right? Can we roll up, I mean, the agile ways of working, even at an enterprise level, right? So we had lean startup, we had budgeting. How can I bring about budgeting in an agile way of working? What are if at all I want to make the entire business unit, or if I want to make the entire delivery unit agile, what are the things I should be doing, right? And I believe that was really the turning point, because then we actually are now scaling up the magnitude of agile transformation, right? From a smaller team to, I would say, a program or a portfolio to the entire ecosystem across the organization. And this model, the third one, it can be lifted, it can be replicated across any industry. As one example, I already gave the Passport Seva Kendra, right? I think I'm pretty much sure people from India have experienced this. Earlier, it used to take almost the entire day or 2 days to actually go through that process. Today, you go to the passport office in India, probably it takes a couple of hours. But you know what? At least I know many people, including myself, the moment I come out of the passport office, I have an SMS that the passport has been sent for printing, right? I mean, that is the kind of agility we are talking about. That is the kind of transformation we are talking about, and how business agility or agility at a government space has evolved over the years. Yeah, so I first wanted to set across this context. I first wanted to give you all this context as how exactly the industry has evolved, or how the way we have been implementing agile has evolved over the period of time. And obviously, when you see the industry evolving, even our customers and clients are going to be demanding. Gone are the days when they said that, okay, I'm going to hire a scrum master. No, that's okay. That is, we know that you have scrum masters with you. You have people with skills of scrum master. But do you have coaches who can actually bring about this business transformation in wave three? Have they really worked in identifying business outcomes? What are the business metrics you're going to measure? And how do I know that my investment in agile transformation is giving the desired ROI? So businesses have also become very smarter. They are asking these questions in an RFP discussion. So if you just go with an RFP proposal saying that I have so many scrum masters, so many agile coaches, in all probability, you may not meet into the next level of shortlisting, right? You have to answer questions like, tell us what will you do at a business level? What are the unique transformation approaches you will bring about, right? How will you measure business agility? What is have you done some similar engagement? What was your learning in that engagement? What did you learn out of it? So that comes in as a part of our the evolution of agile. And yes, as I said, this is something which I have created. This picture is something which I have over the years. I mean, this is based on my experience, where this picture has been cultivated and created by me. Okay, so why scale agile? I mean, the story behind why scale agile, because the world around us is changing very rapidly, right? We have businesses which are demanding. We have enterprises and governments which are very, very demanding. Gone are the days when we equated government with something very, very lethargic, right? I mean, you take any government across the world, they are bringing in agile practices. They are bringing in agility at their workplace, right? Digital transformation. Things around us are transforming. Everything is becoming like a digital, right? In India, you go outside, even a person, a small grocer on the footpath is having a Google Pay today, right? I mean, you have seen that the kind of digital transformation it has happened in India, right? In fact, even if you forget a wallet at home, I mean, gone is the excuse which I can give to my friends that I have forgotten my wallet. If I have a phone, I should be able to pay it, right? So I can't excuse now saying to my friends that, oh, you know what, I forgot my wallet at home, or someone has stolen my wallet. Because believe me, if someone steals my wallet today, in all probability, I may not even have any cash in it, right? I may not even have sufficient cash in it, which could be the possibility, right? So this is what we call as the industry 4.0. This is the model what we have, which is the business agility or the business transformation model what we have. Right? So this is how agile has evolved over the years. So this is how the agile practices have moved in over the years, right? Now let me talk about some of the very popularly used scaling models which are there. So some of the very popularly used scaling models what we have are basically Scrum of Scrums. I already talked about it. What is Scrum of Scrums? Scrum at Scale, Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe, Spotify, Less, Disciplined Agile Delivery. So these are some of the very popularly used scaling frameworks. These are some of the very popularly used scaling models what we have seen in the industry, right? And again, no preference for any such model. Okay, I particularly do not have any preference of using any model. As I said, these are models which actually I have worked on. And one word of caution, Spotify is not really a model. Okay, although I have included in this slide, Spotify is not really a model. because it is actually a way of working. So even Spotify team, they also recognize the fact that it is not a model. It is no longer a model. It is actually a way of working what we would like to do, right? So just a correction there, although I have put it in the model piece as Spotify, it is not really a model per se, right? It is more like a ways of working or the way we do it. Okay, just a quick check before we move ahead. How many of you have worked in these I would say ways of working? I mean, how many of you have worked in these models? Just a quick check on this before we move ahead. How many of you have worked on these models and basically worked? I mean, any of these models you have worked on it already? Just wanted to do a quick check on this. Okay, I see people talking. Okay, I see people talking that yes, some of these we have worked on. Okay, no, okay. So some of you are saying you have not worked on them. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Have you worked on any of these models or frameworks by any chance? And just give me a minute here. Okay, so I think yeah, I think I did see some of the responses. That to save to some extent, okay, that is what you are saying, or some of you are basically talking about a safe. Yes, okay, yeah, I believe safe. Many of you would have worked, right? Scaled Agile framework is something which many of you would have worked and you would have heard about it, because obviously that is a very popular framework, right? That is something which is a very popular framework which is there. Okay, yeah, so no worries. We will talk about some of these models now, and we'll try to get into the scaling approaches, right? What exactly are the scaling approaches and which are these models, right? And of course, I have worked not on all of them. Okay, by the way, even disciplined agile delivery, they no longer call it as a model or a framework. They call it as a toolkit. They call it as a toolkit, which is there. Okay, one quick check, audio check. I think I got a feedback. Am I audible to everyone? Can you all confirm that I'm audible? Kindly confirm that if I'm audible to everyone. You can just use it in the chat. Okay, great. Okay, so let us move ahead. Let us further move ahead, and let us understand, or let us discuss very briefly a few of these models. So one of the very, I would say, prominent model is Scrum at Scale framework. And this comes from Scrum Inc. Okay, so it's the concept is similar, that just like you have implemented Agile at a team level, you will be implementing Agile at a program level and at a portfolio level. That's the concept on which it is based, right? You start with a team level agility, and then you implement it at a program level and a portfolio level, right? So you basically have some additional layers. You have some additional structures which are created in a Scrum at Scale framework. So on the left hand side, you see the Scrum Master cycle. And the Scrum Master cycle talks about some of the activities which a Scrum Master would be doing, right? So it talks about some of the critical activities a Scrum Master would be doing. And on the right-hand side, you see product owner cycle, the set of activities which the product owner is responsible for. So we have these two circles which intersect with each other. And at the intersection point, you see the matrix and transparency, right? So some practices related to matrix, transparency, openness, product and release feedback, and your team progress. So those come in the middle section, right? So those are the ones which are going to come in the middle part of it. Okay, so this is a Scrum at Scale framework, which is coming in from Scrum Inc. And there are two elements in this Scrum at Scale framework. One is the executive action team, which is in the circle of Scrum Master. And this team is responsible for product delivery. And then we have the executive Meta Scrum team, which is in the product owner's circle, if you see, at the center of the product owner circle. And this team is responsible for your product discovery, product definition, etc. Right? So those are the two teams which are there, or those are the, of course, moment you talk about scaling, like you have to understand the fact that it is going to add up more roles. It is going to add up more layers as we move along, right? So that is one important thing we need to understand, that any framework, when you're trying to scale up or roll it up, it is going to add more it is going to add more hierarchy, it is going to add more roles as we go along, right? So this is the Scrum at Scale framework, which is there. We have events like we have events like Scrum of Scrums, we have event like Scrum of POs also in it, where the product owners come in together. And then there are two additional roles in this framework. One is a SOS master, Scrum of Scrum master, right? That is what we have it like a chief Scrum master. This person does the role. And the second role is a chief product owner. So ideally, if I would have been the framework designer, I would have created a role chief Scrum master, and I would have created a role chief product owner in this, rather than creating a SOS master or a Scrum of Scrum master or a chief Scrum master. That would have been a better role, right? Just like we have a chief Scrum master and we have a chief product owner. So that is what is called a Scrum at Scale framework. You can read about this on the Scrum Inc. website. So they have described this framework in detail on the Scrum Inc. website, what exactly this framework is all about, how these events or ceremonies happen, what is a Scrum Master cycle all about, what is a product owner cycle all about, and at the end of the day, how we plot these events. Okay, then we have a basic Scrum of Scrum structure, and one of the ways in which it is represented is in this beachhead model. So in a beachhead model, what happens is you start with an initial team. You start with an initial Scrum team, and then you add more members to it. Okay, so as and when you add more members to the team, you will see that you start doing splitting. You start splitting it. You span across the regions, right? So it's like a new political party forming in a country, right? You start with few core members. You first try to group yourself in that particular area or that particular state, and slowly you try to expand along other areas and other states of the country, right? A typical journey of a political party can be mapped to this, and this is called as a Scrum of Scrum teams which are there. And this is the famous beachhead model which is there, right? So one of the important events in this is a SOS event, right? So the Scrum Masters of all the teams come together for a Scrum of Scrum event, and the purpose of a Scrum of Scrum event is to discuss dependencies, is to identify any bottlenecks or blockers which are there, and to make sure that these bottlenecks are resolved at the earliest, right? So this comes in as a part of your SOS model or a Scrum of Scrum model, what we call it, right? So it's also called as a beachhead way of expanding your Scrum teams. From left-hand side to right-hand side, you see the expansion of the Scrum teams which are happening over a period of time. Again, you might ask, what is the right time for this? There's no right or a wrong time when you start splitting one Scrum team into multiple Scrum teams. It depends on the maturity of the teams. It depends on how quickly have the teams adapted themselves, and how quickly have the other people ready to pick up that role, because this involves creating additional roles, right? This involves creating more Scrum Masters as we move along. So it depends on those parameters which are there, right? So those are some of the parameters on which this decision is taken, that how quickly can we move from basically from I would say from one team to multiple team. It depends on the maturity of the team as such, right? So but this is what we call as the Scrum of Scrum model, what we call it. Okay, less is large enterprise scale Scrum. Okay, large scale Scrum. It is actually large scale Scrum, but it is also sometimes called as large enterprise scale Scrum, and it is a framework for scaling Scrum teams, or basically to have multiple teams working together on a single product. So when you have a single product, and when you want to basically that product has got multiple Scrum teams under it, right? The pure Scrum may not give you that option, right? But here what you have is a less framework which there are two elements into it, which we'll talk in a moment. But basically, this allows you to scale your team, bring all your teams together into one large product team and work on the product team, identify dependencies between each other, do dependency mapping, then try to identify risks, try to identify cadence, what cadence we should be having, what will be the integration points between the Scrum teams. So all those things we do as a part of the LESS framework, or there's a kind of a guidance which is provided as to how to go about and implement this LESS way of working. So as I said, this has got these core principles. So if you look at these core principles, there are 10 core principles in LESS, and there are two types of configurations which are available. So there is something called as LESS up, which is up to 8 teams, right? 8 teams of 8 people each, which means 64 people. Okay, 64 people. If you have a 64-member team, you divide them into 8 teams with obviously you have a role like a Scrum Master and a product owner, though that will be there. And then they also have something very interesting, like if it's a mega portfolio or a program, LESS huge, which goes up to 1,000 people, right? So for one product, if you have 1,000 people working, let's say it's a big product. It's a product like let us say let us say a driverless car, or it's a product like let us say electric vehicle, right? Those kind of products, if you want to apply, these are very big products, right? These are not smaller products like a WhatsApp or a Facebook, right? These are very, very huge products. So in that scenario, you can go in for a less, the large part of it or the huge part of it. So less up is up to 8 teams. You can scale it up. And then you have less huge, which can go up to 1,000 people. I mean, that's the level of, I would say, scaling what we are looking here as a part of the large enterprise scale Scrum, or large scale Scrum as they call it. Okay, then of course, the one which is very, very, I would say, discussed topic, Scaled Agile Framework, right? From scaledagileFramework.com, and the current version is 5.1. So if you look at the latest version of SAFe, it is 5.1. And yes, when you look at this picture initially, it might appear to be very, very overwhelming, right? It's something like which is falling on your head, right? But believe me, it's not that, I mean, it is complex definitely, but it is not that difficult to understand, right? So predominantly it has got 4 levels: essential, SAFe. Okay, then we have a program, portfolio, and large solution, SAFe, right? So I mean, not program as such, it is essential, large solution, portfolio, and full SAFe. Those are the latest ones, right? So most of us predominantly work on the essential SAFe piece. Now, some interesting rules in this. You have a role called as a RTE. RTE stands for Release Train Engineer. RTE is the Chief Scrum Master. Okay, so RTE role is the Chief Scrum Master for the train. So we have a concept of an Agile Release Train here. We have a concept of a PI, program increment. A program increment is between 8 to 12 weeks, with most of the organizations going in for a 10-week PI. And then the RTE, or the Release Train Engineer, facilitates the PI, right? One good thing about SAFe is that everything is available on the internet. You can go and browse it, you can read it, you can learn more about it. What is missing in this picture are a few additional roles, like you have a Solution Train Engineer also on top of it, especially if you are in the solution layer. You have a role called as a Solution Train Engineer. We have business owners, we have enterprise architects, we have we have epic owners. So those are the critical roles in a SAFe. And one more important thing is product owner is a role in SAFe which is more at a team level. At a program level, we have what is called as product management. So product management as a role is at a program level. And then we have system architect and system engineers. If you look at the top right corner of SAFe, there's something very interesting which I started with. It talks about bringing agility at an enterprise level. It talks about bringing agility at a government level, right? So it's not just restricting itself to enterprise level. It is also talking about bringing agile practices at a governance level, that how do we bring about agility at the governance point of view, right? So that's what we have as the SAFe framework. And it is also called as a dual operating system. So the name for it is also called as a dual operating system because it respects the existing hierarchies or the existing organization structure. At the same time, it says that if you want to build a world-class quality product, you need to have a network of people who come together and who who swarm together, which is where it is called as a dual operating system. And that's the philosophy or the thought process behind the dual operating system of scaled agile framework. And as I said, it has got multiple roles to it. It has got multiple, I would say, roles and responsibilities around it. And this is another representation of the dual operating system of SAFe, where on one side we say that if I have a network of team coming in together, they can take faster decision. The innovation speed will be much more faster than a normal decision making process. At the same time, my organization hierarchy provides me that stability and efficiency. So that's another way of looking at a scaled agile framework or a SAFe model or a SAFe framework. The next important ways of working, and I'm again repeating, it's a way of working. It is not a model. Because Spotify, by the way, is the music streaming company. I'm sure many of you would be members of it. Many of you would have taken subscription of that company. But they came out with an agile way of working, which, as I said, and again, I'm repeating probably for the fourth and fifth time, just to make sure that it is not interpreted in another way. This is a way of working. And they have what is called as a squad. So instead of a Scrum team, they have what is called as a squad. This is one of the ways in which they have operated. There are multiple variations of this. That's why they don't call it as a framework or a model. For one of the product development streams, they had used this kind of a structure, which is a squad. We have a squad leader. We have a chapter. A chapter is a collection of people of similar traits or similar skills. For example, the Scrum Master or the squad leaders of each squad will be forming a chapter, or the product owners of each chapter will be forming a chapter. A product owner of each squad will be forming a chapter, right? Or let us say even the QA professionals. The QA professionals from each of the squad will be forming a chapter, right? And then we have a tribe. What is a tribe? A tribe is a collection of various squads. And the rule is that a tribe should be between 40 to 150 people, which is the famous Dunbar's number. So Dunbar was a sociologist who said that generally when people are in a group up to 150, they tend to be together. But beyond 150, the group breaks and smaller groups emerge, right? So we have a squad, we have a tribe, we have a chapter. Then we have a very interesting concept here called as a guild. What is a guild? A guild is something which cuts across a tribe. So let's say you want to run a very important initiative. Let's say you want to organize a hackathon, where you will be having all the members from the tribe participating in a 3-day hackathon. And you have a core team which is going to do this hackathon, which is going to organize this hackathon. You go ahead and create a guild. Or let us say a guild can be for rolling out a new tool in the organization, or it could also be to come out with an automation framework where it has members across the chapters, across the tribes, across the squads coming in together. So that's in a nutshell to all of you what exactly is the Spotify way of working, or the Spotify approach towards working is what this is talking about. And then we also have some Spotify structures, which are, there's a structure called as trio. Trio is a tribe lead, a product lead, and a design lead. Okay, so these three people or these three roles come in together. And then we also have what is called as alliance. Alliance is a group of, I would say, tribes coming in together. So multiple tribes coming in together is what comes in as an alliance. So especially if you have a big product which has to be worked upon, then you would be needing an alliance in that situation, right? So this, in a nutshell, is a Spotify structure in front of you. Again, repeating, this is not a model, but I have worked in teams where we followed something like this, right? We had a concept like this, and this is what I had suggested. So remember one thing, many times you have to suggest an approach, a scaling approach to your clients. They will expect you as an agile coach to suggest an approach, right? And it could be a mix and match of any of these, right? Very rarely we can do a lift and shift that, okay, this is what my scaled agile framework is. I directly lift the structures from a safe site and implement it there. No, many times you might have to do a little tweaking, you might have to do tailoring, or you might have to do customization and do the best fit which will operate there. Okay, lastly, I would like to share a very interesting framework which I had designed. Okay, this is for a client. Obviously, I can't reveal the client name. And that's what I was telling in the beginning of the session also, right? Many times when you go into a consulting engagement, the client says that, no, I have done certification on so-and-so. I've already been certified. I already implemented this framework. But let us brainstorm and let us try to create our own framework. And this is what that assignment was for one of the clients. I had done this. It was almost a 6-month engagement where we had implemented this model. Okay, and this was the model which we had used there. Okay, this was the model which we had used there, and this model was something which we had shared with them. And of course, this model came after a lot of deliberation. It is not something which came out in a week's time, right? It is something which took almost months for us to come out with this particular model, because it's not easy. It is not easy to create a model like this. And then there are always going to be what we say as discussions, debates, which will come across, right? Which model to apply, what should be the event, should we have a daily stand up, or should we replace it with something else? So all those discussions were happening. And then what came out was what emerged out, what this was, this model which came out. And this basically talked about an agile way of working. It used these approaches like planning poker, complexity chart, Moscow analysis, right? One interesting thing in this model was that, you know what, we actually had to create another role, the technical owner role, as you can see there. So there was a new role which was created there, called as a technical owner here, right? So this technical owner role was the one which got created there. And yeah, that role worked very closely with the product owner. So that was a role which got created as a part of this. And then of course we had Kanban, we had the Scrum way of working, we had the Scrum Master, the product owner. Those roles were pretty much there. Epics feature use cases. So that approach is something what we definitely followed in this. But yeah, so what my whole intention was to tell you that many times we end up into this situation where we have to create a customized framework or a customized model which is there, right? So yeah, so that is what I wanted to cover in this session. So those were the things which I wanted to mainly cover in this session. And now I'm opening up the floor for any questions. Yeah, and those of you who are on LinkedIn Live or on YouTube Live, you can paste in your questions there, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. In any case, we will be sending you the link of this session, where exactly it is there, where exactly the session will be uploaded. And yeah, I think we can now open up the floor for questions. Just wanted to let you know, if you're interested, do subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will get more such videos, more such learning, and especially if you're preparing for any interviews. I mean, that's the feedback which I've got. People have found the channel videos to be useful and definitely helpful for them. Yeah, I also do a one-on-one coaching session. So if anyone is interested, you can connect with me offline for that. I'll be more than happy to discuss what exactly we do in a one-on-one coaching session. On that note, I will open the floor for questions. So those of you who are on Zoom meeting, you can actually now unmute yourself and ask questions. I would prefer if you can come on a camera also. If people can come on a camera, that would also be really great. Yeah, and yeah, you can now ask any questions around it. Yeah, anyone, any questions?
I have a question. Good morning, everyone. What is your, well, for instance, I'm in US, right? And I want to believe that you are in Indian the last time we spoke. Oh no, the last time we texted one another. So what is your one-on-one coaching all about? And how long is it? And what's the format? You know?
Maybe we can talk offline on that. I think it will be better. I mean, I would restrict myself to these questions for this webinar, because I believe people have got a lot of questions on the webinar. Maybe I'll connect with you offline and then we can talk. Yeah, anyone, any questions on this webinar, particularly on this webinar? Yeah, you can unmute yourself and you can ask questions. No questions. I hope this was clear. I mean, the webinar was clear to everyone. Just wanted to be sure. Any feedback on the webinar also, you can let me know. Hope I'm audible. Hello. Can you all confirm?
That was great.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Quite a lot was covered, I know. Yeah, quite a lot was covered. I know that. I mean, a lot of things we covered. And yeah, that was the whole intention of walking you. I mean, each one of them is a separate webinar topic, if you ask me. In fact, not even a webinar topic. Each one of them is a 2-hour content by itself. Any questions? Anyone who has? And of course, I see questions on LinkedIn Live. I will answer those questions as we move along. Okay, so some of you have joined in late, so you'll have to go through the recording. Okay. So thanks a lot. Yeah.
Ashutosh?
Yes.
Yeah, Mohna here.
Yeah, Mona.
Yeah, so my question is on SAFe model, SAFe framework.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would like to ask this question. So what are the major industries that we use this typical SAFe model, SAFe framework?
So I can give from my example and people can also share. I have worked on SAFe implementation in telecom, banking and financial services, even for that matter in insurance, pharmaceutical. I mean, just to name a few, automobile, where I have been a part of teams which have implemented Scaled Agile framework. But there are many. I mean, if you go on the Scaled Agile framework website, you will see more industries which have implemented Scaled Agile framework. But I have, as I said, worked on telecom, pharmaceutical, then BFSI, banking and financial services, insurance, and automobile. That's where I have been a part of the SAFe implementation.
Okay, fair enough. So one more question, just to relate it to it. So how long will it take this entire transformation from being just a simplified Scrum to a SAFe model at the organizational level?
Because see, I mean, this is as I told in the beginning also, right? When I came to this slide, it's a massive change. It involves massive change at an organization level. It involves leadership coaching. It involves middle management coaching. It involves team level coaching. Whereas in a normal Scrum, you're only restricting yourself at a team level. Here it is about the leadership coaching. Here it is about enterprise level coaching. Here you are changing the way you are doing a budgeting. From a project based budgeting, you are going into a value stream based budgeting. So it's a big change. I would say it's a change of mindset. It's a change of culture. So you are more like a change agent or a cultural transformation agent in a SAFe engagement, rather than just being a Scrum Master or an Agile coach. So that's how I would answer that question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone else, any questions on this webinar? Okay. Yeah, I do see a lot of questions on LinkedIn and YouTube. Definitely, I will revert back to you with the answers. Yeah, so anyone would like to come on camera, feel free to come on camera. I mean, it's okay. I mean, you can come on camera. We can have a nice snap if you are okay. Otherwise, it's absolutely fine. I respect your privacy. But in case anyone interested, you can do come on a camera. And yeah, just to let you know, we have these sessions almost every Friday. So do try to join these sessions. I'm sure these sessions will help you grow in your career, help you learn more. I'm pretty sure about it. So thanks a lot. Hi, Aparna. Hi. Yeah, thanks a lot. And wish you a happy learning ahead and have a great weekend ahead. So do reach out to me one-on-one for any further queries. So thanks a lot and bye for now. Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you.